Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYNT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Emily Bennett. Multiple flood warnings are now in effect as heavy rain continues to fall throughout the night. Because of that, our severe weather alert day continues tonight. Chief Meteorologist Paige Noel joins us now with the latest. Paige?
Emily, we are seeing heavy rain continuing throughout a lot of our area, even here in Hazard, hearing that rain pretty hard on the roof. And the area down to the Cumberland Valley, that's the area we've been keeping a close eye on. As we head into tonight, we're seeing that widespread yellow and oranges popping up there on pinpoint. But of course, it's the warnings that we are concerned about. We have 2 flash flood warnings. Now, these are in effect for a little bit over an hour. That includes parts of McCreary, Whitley, Knox, and Bell County. It does include the city of Williamsburg and Pineville. Like I said, this goes until about 12:15 in the morning. You also see that flood warning for the Cumberland River. That's in Williamsburg and into Barberville. We also have multiple flood advisories out for almost the entire Cumberland Valley. It even includes parts of Perry County over into Letcher, some of Leslie, and even down into Harlan County. That goes down into parts of Tennessee. So over the past 48 hours, we've seen 2 to about 3 inches plus of rain. Barberville at 3.23. Black Mountain close to 3 inches along with Whitley City. McKee 2.5 and close to 2 in Boonville, Jackson, and over into McKee. It's the rivers, of course, we're keeping a close eye on. The Kentucky River at Ravenna is also an area that we're keeping a close eye on as they have a flood warning. And of course, the Cumberland River at Barberville and Williamsburg, all expected to hit minor flood stage by the time we get into your Thursday afternoon. But how much more rain is expected to fall? I'll have those details coming up in just a little bit.
Thank you, Paige. The Republican-led Senate voted along party lines to acquit President Donald Trump on both articles of impeachment, closing a nearly 3-week-long trial. But one GOP senator broke ranks. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has the latest reaction from Capitol Hill.
He is hereby acquitted of the charges in said articles.
The Senate vote acquitting President Trump ended the 3rd presidential impeachment trial in American history.
Mr. Romney, guilty.
Senator Mitt Romney of Utah was the only Republican to cross party lines with a guilty vote on abuse of power. Romney announced his plans earlier in the day.
Corrupting an election to keep oneself in office is perhaps the most abusive and destructive violation of one's oath of office that I can imagine.
Romney, who made a White House run against President Obama in 2012, split his decision, voting not guilty on the obstruction of Congress charge. Senate Democrats, including 3 who had been considered possible swing votes, voted guilty on both counts.
At least for the short term, it has been a colossal political mistake.
While the president's approval numbers have hit a new high, bitter division here in Congress has hit a low, and the fallout could threaten cooperation on even bipartisan issues.
The Senate turned its back on the truth, on a fair trial.
President Trump's 2020 campaign put out a statement saying this impeachment will go down as the worst miscalculation in American political history.
After months of a sham investigation, a partisan impeachment, it's over, America.
President Trump tweeted that he will make a public statement on Thursday at noon from the White House to, quote, discuss our country's victory on the impeachment hoax. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Some Democrats are pushing to censure the president, but it's not clear whether the majority leader would bring that to the floor for a vote. Now back in Kentucky, as rain continues to fall in the Cumberland Valley, officials are focused in on the water levels along the Cumberland River. A flood watch has officials in Bell County keeping an eye on low-lying areas. The ground is already saturated, meaning water is puddling on the surface. The river usually sits at 970 feet, and for flooding to be widespread across Bell County, it has to rise about 30 feet above that.
Down the Highway 92 in the Greasy Creek area, Page Cutoff, those low-lying areas that get flooded by the river and by their creeks, especially when the river backs up, those will definitely be a concern, and I'd say a lot of those areas will get water.
Flooding along the Cumberland River back in 2008 had water levels reach nearly 1,220 feet. The floodgates surrounding Pineville were just checked last week. And several people are trapped inside their homes after flooding has covered their roads in Knox County. People living in Knox County could not pass several roads, including Kentucky Highway 1527, California Hollow Road, and Maggie Crane Road. While all three roads have homes nearby that are affected, Maggie Crane Road does not have another entry or exit, making it only possible to reach them by boat in case of an emergency.
And we have folks in there that's in their 80s, so as we get older we get more prone to be sick or need emergency services. So it's a big deal to me. It would be if I lived there.
For more updates on that continual rainfall, download our WYMT weather app in the App Store. Now tonight, some business owners in the city of Martin hosted a meeting to voice their frustrations about happenings in their town. This was prompted by a water line break last week that left them without water for 4 days. They say they want more communication from city officials. I went to the meeting and talked to them about what change they want to see. Last week, people in the city of Martin were blindsided.
Kind of didn't know until you went to go, wash your hands or flush the toilet or anything like that. There's no water.
Never being notified there was a water line break.
Our little town has been soaked.
This prompted business owner Deanna Mullins to set up a meeting where frustrated community members could voice their concerns.
I think if we get more people together and if we all have the same common goal of, trying to better the city, then it will work to benefit the city.
Many concerns were about the Martin Revitalization Project, a several-phase project moving people, businesses, and government buildings out of the town's floodplain.
We have the funding that we need to complete the project.
The Army Corps of Engineers is in charge of the project, and Wednesday night, the community flooded them with questions.
Our sewage, our water, will it all remain the same even through the field, or will there be changes in that?
I've been here 14 years. Am I going to flood?
The project manager spent nearly an hour answering questions.
Our authorization from Congress is to protect the town against the 1977 flood. So we will raise the town up above an elevation where that historic storm would not affect the town.
With the community,
I'm not blaming you all. I don't know how many times money's been in here to fix this place, and we're right back to square one.
Just tired of being in the dark. Now, the project manager said he plans to hold office hours so people can come to him with more questions. Now in Jenkins, plans are in the works to refresh an aging dam. When the city was founded in 1912, a coal company built the Elkhorn Lake Dam. Now 108 years later, the dam is showing its age. While a leak has sprung and rebar is showing, Mayor Todd DePriest says the restoration efforts are just to make sure nothing major could happen.
Just depends on what could happen. If the leak starts to get worse over time, then we would have time to be able to move people and do things, prepare for that. If it was a catastrophic failure from some reason, then that's stuff we're trying to plan for.
They have an emergency action plan in place. However, DePriest hopes they never have to use it. Now, a crash Saturday that officers say was the result of a domestic argument left one man behind bars and one woman in the hospital. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more.
A call to the Pikeville Police Department Saturday.
They stated that the female was screaming for help and that the male sub was trying to kill her.
Brought first responders to a crash near Double Quick on US 23 in Pikeville.
Upon their arrival, they discovered a black Jeep Grand Cherokee had collided with a wooden power pole at the corner of the parking lot.
Officers say the vehicle was driven by Brandon Justice of Hurley, Virginia, with his wife in the passenger seat.
The female had sustained significant injuries to her head and arms.
Witnesses saw them arguing and heard the woman screaming, "He is going to kill me." But Justice told them it was an accident.
He stated that the female subject did bite him on the arm, and they were arguing prior to that also.
Officers found a bite mark on Justice. His wife was taken to the hospital. He was taken to the Pike County Detention Center on charges including wanton endangerment, assault, and reckless driving. Officers say the crash happened in a busy area in the middle of the day.
It's highly congested, a lot of traffic. It's kind of in a curve there, so yes, very dangerous.
So they are glad it wasn't worse. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the extent of the wife's injuries are not known at this time. Now, a former Whitesburg restaurant is moving to Hazard. Prime 606 will be opening tomorrow at the Hazard Country Club. The restaurant will feature fresh steaks, hamburgers, sandwiches, and much more. The owner told us he feels the country club and the restaurant can both benefit from this new partnership. The steakhouse will open at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon and will be open to the public. Many different factors lead to heart disease. It is the leading cause of death in the United States. And February is American Heart Month. Experts say this is a time to focus on heart health strategies to reduce the risk of heart disease. Obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes are some of those factors. And typically when you think of diabetes, you think high blood pressure and sugar.
Over time, that high blood sugar in the bloodstream damages the arteries. And of course, one of the smallest arteries, and the arteries that are most important to us, are the arteries that go to our heart.
The blocking of arteries is what leads to heart attacks and congestive heart failure. Doctors recommend eating less carbohydrates and exercising daily, whether it be a walk or a run. Now, coming up at 11, a Hollywood legend dies at 103. Join us as we remember actor Kirk Douglas.
And flooding will be a concern overnight as heavy rain continues to fall. We'll track the heavy rain and chance for snow tomorrow night next.